to hear it in its entirety. Kyler over Lamar and justifying it to boot.
If Kyler Murray right now was the quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens, we'd have much more confidence in them to win the Super Bowl. Period. We would. It wouldn't be a discussion. If you were starting your team, Kyler Murray would be your guy. It's not that I wouldn't take Lamar. It's just that with what I've seen from them, even with Lamar winning the MVP, if I had to put one at quarterback and say this guy takes X team to the championship, I'd always pick Kyler Murray first.
I do know the majority of you are listening on ESPN Radio, but for those of you that were watching on ESPN News, Jay's laughing here because when Ryan made that comment, he was on the screen with our NFL analyst Dominique Foxworth, and the second the syllable came out of his mouth that he was going to go with Kyler over Lamar, Foxworth essentially got up from out of his seat and walked away. And frankly, if I wasn't plugged in with 10 different wires, I probably would do the same right now because it was a crazy comment. We're asking this morning, we're going to get your opinions, but this morning on the Dr. Pepper Twitter feed, who will win a Super Bowl first, Lamar or Kyler? Obviously, Ryan Clark has weighed in with Kyler, and to the amazement of me and I think many people listening, most of our listeners think it's Kyler Murray. 52% of those on the Dr. Pepper Twitter feed, with Bart shaking his head in the affirmative, saying Kyler Murray, including, I gotta love this handle. Can I give this shout out to this handle? Obi-Wan Toffoli. So thank you for that. We get our smart picks and movies on Friday, so we'll have to wait. Just hit us up on the Dr. Pepper Twitter feed. Murray has more talent around him and a million-mile better coaching staff. I could not disagree with the second half of that statement more.
Staff?
Yes, I could not disagree with the second half of that statement.
The Super Bowl winning.
He's saying Cliff Kingsbury, Obi-Wan Toffoli is saying.
You talking about the dude that got fired from high school?
Well, you can't take someone seriously with that handle.
You can't be named Obi-Wan Kenobi and then say something like that. That's not very futuristic. Obi-Wan Toffoli. Sorry, I called you Obi-Wan Tonoli. I don't even know what your name is anymore.
If that's your name, I can't take you seriously. So he's essentially saying Cliff Kingsbury over John Harbaugh, who's a Super Bowl winning head coach, and Murray over Jackson.
Harbaugh's winning percentage is like 73%.
We're talking about two different things here. So who can win a Super Bowl first?
That's the poll question.
Is a different question than if you were to put Kyler Murray on the Baltimore Ravens and he would make them a Super Bowl contender. Right. I would disagree with that comment. I can't co-sign that by RC. When I look at who Kyler Murray is throwing the ball to, just ask Deshaun Watson how that's working out for him. When he's struggling and begging the Houston Texans not to trade Will Fuller, right? Right. DeAndre Hopkins is a top 3 receiver in the league. Larry Fitzgerald is there. They play the air raid system, 2 different styles in which they're playing. And Bart and I were talking about this during the break. Every time Lamar Jackson comes to the line of scrimmage, they're stacking the box against him because they seem like they're a one-dimensional offense. Because who's he throwing the ball to?
Right. Willie Snead, who has 20 receptions this year. Willie Snead. And when you look at it, it's a difference in philosophies as well, because one is based on a run game, one is based on spreading everybody out and throwing the football. So if you put Kyler Murray on the Baltimore Ravens, he's going to be frustrated because he's going to have to throw into tighter pockets, which means more interceptions. They're not pushing the ball down the field because they don't have the weapons to push the ball down the field. Everybody knows Hollywood Brown is a fast receiver, but he's not a top 20 receiver in this league. You know, you talk about Kyler Murray, and you say Larry Fitzgerald, that's obvious. You say DeAndre Hopkins, that's obvious. Christian Kirk is a pretty good damn receiver as well. And then he also has the better running back. Kenyon Drake is better than Ingram and Dobbins is going to get there, but he's a rookie as well. So when you talk about that, you talk about a team that's built to win offensively versus a team that's built to win defensively.
How about this? If you put Kyler Murray in the Wildcat offense, physicality-wise, would he be able to sustain throughout the season?
No.
With the amount of times they run the ball?
I don't think so. I mean, remember how many times Lamar Jackson was the primary runner last year? You talk about a guy that ran for 1,200 yards last year. We've never seen this from a quarterback. I mean, running backs aren't getting 1,200 yards. He did both. So he's a guy that I think we're a prisoner of the moment because we see Kyler Murray is ascending, but he's ascending because this team decided to put weapons around him. And when you think about Baltimore is built defensively. That organization, that brand, the Steelers, they're built defensively. I would probably say that, I would look at this Willie Snead and I would look at Hollywood Brown and I would say that the Bengals have better skill position players than the Baltimore Ravens.
Can you teach me something for a minute? When I said before, hey, when you're playing against a guy like Lamar Jackson, it's easy. You stack the box. And you said, but who you stack the box with is important.
Right. So when you think about, okay, when they lost to the Chargers, what did they do? They put Derwin James in the box. What they want is they want to get as many athletes that can play in space as possible, because it's pretty much like a option offense. And what it is they're fooling you and they're causing pause when they're having all these play fakes. And then what happens is when Lamar decides to run, he's an angle changer, right? He makes whatever angle you think you got is wrong, because he's fast. He's a 4.3 40. He's a guy that can make you miss. He's a guy that can get to the edge. When you think about Kyler Murray. When you think about Kyler Murray, he's built on the air raid, throwing the ball out, spreading the field and using the width of the field as well, using the entire part of the field, and even also stretching the field. Even though you think about DeAndre Hopkins, he's not a vertical receiver. He's more of a possession guy, a 17 to 18-yard guy. They got Christian Kirk that can stretch a football field. So now he's utilizing the entire field. When you go against Lamar Jackson, you're packing the box, and he's not using the vertical part of the field. He's only using the horizontal part of the field.
So you're stacking the box with safeties,
eight,
guys who are agile, can move horizontally side to side just as fast as Lamar Jackson.
Exactly. And it's nothing that he can do, because you can say, you know what, I'll take my number one corner. And this is your assignment this week, number one corner. You got Willie Snead. Like, what? That's a day off. Like, man, this is homecoming. I'm eating this week. Right? You're not saying that if you got to go against DeAndre Hopkins, you're getting the safety. So now you think about Kyler Murray, he plays with more space, because you got to keep that safety over the top, because you know that you need to help your cornerbacks on those two receivers.
Zubin, this has so much to do with my rookie year in the NBA. We played the triangle, right? The triangle, when you see people that were built to win the triangle, Kobe Bryant, big wings, Michael Jordan, Shaquille O'Neal, it's built for either wings or centers. Yeah. Now in college, all we ran was like the Phoenix Suns offense, high screen and roll, pick and pop. We were surrounded with shooters. Dominated in that system, in that style, but in the triangle style, the ball was out of my hands. The only time I shot the ball was with 5 seconds or less in the shot clock. So style has so much to do on being whether you're conducive to being successful in that system or not.
Styles make fights in boxing, basketball, and football, apparently. The Dr. Pepper call-in line, 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, man, you said
Obi-Wan Tenoli.
Yeah, you said true.
We're asking Obi-Wan Toffoli.
I still got it wrong.
Who wins the Super Bowl first? Simple. Kyler Murray or Lamar Jackson? Again, the early results on the Dr. Pepper Twitter feed, 52% for Kyler Murray, which frankly really surprised me, but maybe the tide will turn by the end of the program. Again, we want to take your calls on it, so stack them up. 888-SAY-ESPN. Simple as that. Murray or Jackson, or if it's easier for you, Key, J, and Z on Twitter. Who wins the Super Bowl first? Kyler Murray, who's yet to play in a playoff game, or Lamar, who's
disrespectful. They won a division last year.
The reigning MVP.
The unanimous reigning MVP. We should mention, how about we get your answer? We kind of got your rationale, but you guys haven't officially said it. So weigh in, 52% on Murray. Your thoughts, Murray or Jackson?
Well, Ryan Clark isn't wrong, but he's not. He's right for different reasons, and it's because of the supporting cast. So I understand what he's saying, but if you put Kyler Murray on the Ravens with those weapons, I'm still taking Lamar Jackson. If you put Lamar Jackson out there with those type of weapons offensively, they're going to be much better.
So you're asking me who could win the Super Bowl first?
Yeah, that is the question.
With the way their team is constructed?
The Ravens.
I would say the Ravens. I believe in the Ravens more so than I do in the Cardinals.
What is the ceiling on Kyler Murray? Remember, if you've been listening to our show since the beginning here the last 3 months, Key, the adjective, Bart and Jay knows this, the adjective that Key has used for Kyler Murray is cute. But over the course of the last few weeks, especially after the win over Seattle on Sunday night, he's changed his tune a little bit. What's Kyler's ceiling? Lamar, we kind of know. You're an MVP. Your ceiling is high. Kyler's ceiling is?
It's tough, man, because I've seen some things that concerns me about Kyler. I don't like how he reacts when he loses. He cursed. What I mean? He doesn't give. Remember what the narrative was when he came out, that he wasn't a leader, that his teammates didn't really like him, and I can see some things in his press conferences when he loses that really concerns me. It seems like he's a finger pointer, and it seems like he's not a guy that takes accountability. And I can see how he can maybe separate a locker room with some of his comments that he says. And if you don't believe me, just go back and look at some of his interviews when they lose, how he answers questions. He almost seems agitated, not understanding that you're the CEO of your football team. And when you lose, you have to be able to be gracious. So I'm going to say, you know what, his silliness, like in that division, cute. I think he's like he may win a playoff game, a wild card, but I don't know if you can win with him. I don't like what I see.